Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer, and I am the host of Own Your Wellness. And I am excited because we have an amazing guest on today. She's a woman with many, many talents, Dr. Emily Letran. Let's bring her on. Welcome to the show, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor. Thank you for taking the time and the effort to set up this platform so we can share our stories, our challenges, our strategies for success.
I love that. And you and I had a chance to speak in person not that long ago. And for those of you watching, she's an amazing source of inspiration. So I'm excited. Let's just get right into it. Emily, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and your own wellness journey?
Well, thank you so much. I was actually born in Vietnam back in the late '60s. That was right during the Vietnam War. So growing up, I remember every night watching on TV just horrific images of war. Um, Dead bodies, people fleeing villages, a lot of propaganda. And then in 1975, the Vietnam War ended. Um, the communists took over. And as a youngster, life just changed overnight. I didn't understand a lot of those changes until I was out of the country. And what happened was 1 year after the communists took over, my mother actually passed away due to cancer. And then a couple of years after that, Vietnam was going to go to war again with China in the north and Cambodia in the west. And at that point, my aunt, she's my dad's youngest sister, she decided to leave. So she was leaving the country, taking her two kids, my older brother, and two other cousins. And they were trying to escape the impending draft. And I'm a girl. I wasn't going to be drafted, but my dad told me, "You're the oldest. You're the oldest girl in the family. You got to go help your aunt." So I left the country. I left my dad behind and two other siblings, and I was 13 years old, and I never had the opportunity to see him again because he passed away later. And so we escaped on a boat, on a fishing boat. We were on the ocean for 7 days, and we got to Malaysia. We into a refugee camp. I lived there for several months, and we got limited food, water. I think the electricity was on a couple hours a day.
Wow.
And because we were in a refugee camp and it's on an island, so everything you're surrounded by water and there's not a whole lot to do. So I finally got to come to the U.S. As a refugee and learn English and started my journey there. And as far as the wellness part is concerned, what I realized was we got to take care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whether you were in the refugee camp and you got to ration your food,
Mm-hmm.
or when we first started in the U.S., I was working, doing paper route. Nobody does that anymore, but delivering newspaper in the morning and then making sure that you're waking up at a certain time, you're focused,
Mm-hmm.
you have that energy, so you can't stay up late at night, right? Because you have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. This is for 13 years old. It's kind of hard, right?
Yeah.
And you go through the day. You take care of yourself. You watch what you do because there's only so many hours in a day. And I was trying to cram in classes to do well,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get scholarship and go to schools and things like that. So the idea of um, taking care of myself in the sense that I can't help other people until I help myself. I won't have time to help my family or my aunt until I can hurry up and finish all this homework and managing my time so I can have that time and that effort available to help others. So I learned that pretty early, and I didn't understand the concept. It was just like I gotta do this so I can do that. But as I grow up and learn more, that's what I realized that I was doing all along, was to take care of myself so I could
Mm-hmm.
take care of others.
And you not only have one profession, you are the epitome of an entrepreneur. And I just adore that. You help people in so many different ways. So not only, for those that don't know that you're a dentist, you also are a coach, correct?
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, so you you know we always should be learning.
Mhm.
If we anybody out there who doesn't know that, I encourage you to come to that recognition. And and I mean my learning journey started out because both of my parents were teachers, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
they were always teaching. They used to teach philosophy. When the communists took over, there was no more philosophy. There's only, you know, Marxism. So
Mhm.
they started teaching history. And so I'm always about, you know, looking up to other people, learning, you know, and I see the respect that people get, uh, you know, for the teachers, for example, for my
Mhm.
parents. And as I went through my journey, you know, I graduated from UCLA dental school, and then I came out and I got my first practice, and then my second practice, and then my third practice, and I got these three beautiful children, you know, that I drove me around all the time, and so I got to manage that scheduling. Going back to, you know, understanding how to take care of myself, so I can take care of these three people, and, you
Mhm.
know, my patients and my staff. I learned a lot from self-learning, reading books, reading newsletter, because back then there was no internet, right?
Yeah.
And in the early '90s, and then after that, going to seminars and absorbing all of this information. And about 6 years ago, I realized that, you know, I could do more. I could do beyond the four walls of my practice, and I wanted to, in one way, to share and give back what I've known
Mhm.
to younger professionals and business owners. Because, you know, regardless of what industry you're in, the business journey is all kind of similar. At
Yeah.
least at the beginning, we're not talking about big corporation, but everybody got to do marketing. Everybody got to do client retention. Everybody got to take care of themselves, and then, you know, take care of their staff, and then they go home and they got to take care of the mom and dad and, you know, kids. So I decided to start a coaching program. And so I do high performance coaching, which take you through a whole journey of, you know, clarity, energy, productivity, courage, influence, physiology, psychology, purpose, persuasion. And so all of these are elements of personal growth that sometimes
Mhm.
we neglect. We think that, you know, as long as I have the new customers and a new patient, the clients coming in, we're gonna be fine. Well, you you sometimes you got those challenges, and how you're gonna make those difficult decisions, right? Or you feel
Mhm.
overwhelmed, and so those are all the elements of personal growth that I think there's a gap there, and I would love to fill that gap for, you know, for our business owners. And as I'm going through that journey, I realized that there's some of us who are very busy,
Mhm.
and sometimes we think, oh, we just had this little chat a little bit earlier, whether you go to your client and your client come to you, right? So a lot of time what I do is I actually do things virtually,
Mm.
because nobody got to go anywhere, right? If
Saves time.
but the point is, take away those excuses, right?
Mhm.
Where people say, well, I can't go to you, or can you go to me, and I've got to travel, and there's traffic and all that. I want to be that catalyst, so you can
Mm.
accelerate your growth. I want to take away all the excuses, whether you think it's an excuse or not, and so that you can grow. Because if you think about it, if I could get to where I am, um, coming here as a refugee, and there were challenges of English and financial and all that, and get to where I am right now, where, you know, it's so great to be joining organization together with you, right?
Yeah.
And be able to speak. And the speaking part was something that I forced myself to do, by the way, because that's how you do authority positioning. But in general, you know, to have so many opportunities, and sometimes people are not looking at those. Sometimes they think of it as a challenge, but it's actually an opportunity, and all they need
Mhm.
is a different perspective, and maybe somebody to push them a little bit. And so I think I'm pretty good with that. I kind of realized that, you know, growing the dental practices and working with associate doctors and staff, and knowing that I could motivate people
Mhm.
in the right way. So I want to take that gift and share it with the whole world.
I think that that's absolutely amazing. There's so many things that you said that I kind of want to like unpack, as they say. But something that really sticks with me is that, you know, it's the idea of taking care of yourself. It's the idea of, you know, managing your time so that you may have a lot on your plate, but that doesn't mean you have to be busy running around stressed out. You know, there's so many different ways to approach what you have to do. Or, you know, I like the idea of, I know you happen to travel, so you have all this stuff going on and you still have fun.
Yeah, and I think if you can look at things and ask why, right? Like why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And because sometimes people throw the words around, you know, the passion and this and that. For me, it's more having that, you know, understand. For example, if I'm busy and I'm traveling, why am I doing that? Who am I doing it for? And a lot of time it's not just for the client or the people that I'm meeting. It's really for me, right? Because it's not that I like traveling. I like new places. It's
Exactly.
a curiosity, right? So I enjoy it. I enjoy going to Egypt and Australia and, you know, India, because I wanted to go to those special places.
Yeah.
And if I can meet people and I can help people, that's a plus. So I think a lot of time, what I call time management is attention management.
Ooh, I like
What,
that.
yeah. So what are you paying attention to? Because really, you can't manage time. You know,
It's
time
there.
just gonna go 24 hours, right? But
Exactly.
what are you going to plan to focus on in those 24 hours? And a lot of time, I'll give you an example. When you're working with a client and that client is with you, let's say for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, you are both laser focused, right? During that training. Well, can you take that same laser focus and repeat it, you know, 7 more hours or 8 more hours, whatever your workday is? Because if you could do that, all of a sudden you're going to find it's not so much about the to-do list, it's about the results that you get.
Yes.
Yeah, because people like to write lists and check them off. And for me, like, just give me three things, I'll do the three things by the end of the day. But I know those three things will make a difference. Those three things will move the needle.
You know, I think that that's an amazing point too about attention and focus, because I know for me, I call it like my power 2 hours, and I get more done in those 2 hours than I do the rest of the day because I'm so laser focused. Whereas before, when I was working, it was just, you know, I was getting things done, but not at the same rate. And it would take me 8 hours and I
Right.
still didn't get as much done, or that much closer to my goals, I should say.
Yes,
Probably.
and I think it's the perspective. It's
Yes.
how it's all how you look at things. How why does somebody else hustle and some, you know, other people just kind of, okay, give it to me, you know, like hand it to me. Because if one person see it as really important and this is going to help me accelerate because I got some, you know, I got places to go, people to meet, you know, then you're going to hustle versus the person who doesn't really have a particular goal, right? And they just take it, you know, it for credit. One of my coach, Brendan Bouchard, he says, um, you know, common knowledge is not common practice. Everybody knows, but not everybody does, right? And
Exactly.
yeah, and I think that's why, you know, somebody, let's say somebody working with you, because you show up and they go through that routine, they're gonna do it, right? If you didn't show up, well, there's a 50-50 chance they're going to do they're going to do it. And that's what the difference in what we do as coaches is we help people get more focus and get more done, because we help them, you know, understand that what's more important. It's you get it done today, and what are the results that you're going to get tomorrow. And again, everybody knows it, but not everybody does it, and that's why everyone should have a coach. They should have somebody to help them move along, and a lot of times it's not going to be the best friend.
Exactly. I mean, think about it this way too. I mean, I know you know this, but Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, all these greats, they all have coaches, or
Right.
head coaches. So it doesn't mean that once you get to a certain level, then all of a sudden you're by yourself. I mean, doesn't make sense. But there's something interesting that I really want to touch on that I was thinking about was, the words high performance and high performance coaching. So what does that mean? Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not to that level yet. They don't really understand what it means.
Yeah, so high performance in the definition that I learned is a heightened and sustained level. So the key words are heightened, right? Getting
Mm-hmm.
higher, and sustain and keep it up there. of clarity, energy, productivity, courage, and influence. So if you think about, you go to a seminar and you get all rah rah, right? And you take a lot of notes, and then you go home, and then everybody say the same thing. Well, 3 days later, everything's back to normal. Well,
Mm-hmm.
how do you sustain that, right?
Mm.
Because, for example, one of the most important thing for me is having clarity. And when I'm coaching client, that's the one thing that sometimes people are lacking. And it's not that you don't know, but it's more, how clear are you with those values or those goals? How bad do you want it, right? Because when you have that clarity, it will dictate your action.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when people setting goal. Like if you work with your client and they say, I need to lose 10 pounds or whatever it is, when it's clear, and why do you need to lose 10 pounds? Why not 15 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Why not 20 or whatever it is? So when they get real clear why they want goal X by a certain time, because it make whatever difference,
Mm-hmm.
then they are more driven. So when you understand high performance, because I'll give you a quick example. So let's say the goal is to lose 10 pounds, right? That's the clarity part.
Mm-hmm.
The energy part is, okay, how do I go through this? And I'm not complaining because I can't eat whatever, I don't know, chocolate or whatever, right? And then having that courage, which is, if somebody's inviting me to a party and I'm supposed to be losing this 10 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
how do I get myself to say no to that and don't have all of that FOMO or whatever, whatever it
Yes.
is, that hey, everybody's going there and I can't go, kind of thing. And the so that's the courage part. The productivity, as part of high performance, is now, what what kind of activity do I focus on?
Mm-hmm.
What do I concentrate on so I can get to my goal faster, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm gonna sit around, and not pick up, let's say, a new exercise routine, I don't think I'm going to get to that goal, right? Like if I'm just going to do whatever I'm doing right now and think that I'm going to lose 10 pounds, that's not going to happen. Or if I'm going to add 5 minutes to my workout, would that make a
Mm-hmm.
difference, right? Rather
Yeah.
than, what, I want to do two more intensity intensity workout because I really need to get to that 10 pounds. And the last part of that is influence. Influence is persuasion. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of time, it's, you need to influence yourself because
Yes.
you're the hardest person to influence, right? You will talk yourself out of stuff. You will have all of those limiting belief, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
10 pounds good. I'm just going to go for five, right? And because I know I can do five. So all of those things, if you think about it, if we can get all of those things and function at a higher level, then,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just, okay, this month or these 90 days, I need to lose 10 pounds. It could be, I want to add another 100K to my income. It could
Mm-hmm.
be, I want to make sure that I will give my kids an extra hour every night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody come back from work, everybody's tired. But how do I get focused? And before I get into the house, I'm going to reset myself. I'm going to show up for my family, for my kids, just like I show up to my work at 9 a.m.,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because a lot of time people show up at home and they just bring the leftover energy,
Yeah.
and it's not fair to the family, right? Whether it's your dog or your cat, or or your spouse or your boyfriend,
Uh-huh.
whoever it is that you need to show up for, I think you need
Mm-hmm.
to show up for them just like you show up for your clients for work. Because sometimes we make that distinction, and all of those relationships are important. Uh,
No, I'm excited that you said that, because I know I've been so guilty of doing that. It's like, oh, tomorrow, or I don't need to put in as much effort, or because they're always going to be there. But we all know too that life is short, and at the end of the day, what am I making time for? What's important to me? I say it's important. Am I going to act like it's important? Am I going to make it a priority? I love that idea of not bringing that leftover energy, and this is all I have.
Right, right. And everybody, like I said, everybody can always say, shift happened at work. Right? So
Uh-huh.
so I'm gonna come home and I can be cranky and I can be upset. And you know, that is not fair in the sense that you're not even fair to yourself, because really,
Mhm.
if you know how to manage the anger, the frustration, let's say somebody come in and they just really mess you up, right? You got a difficult
Mhm.
client. I have a crazy patient. Well, I still got so many more to see in the day, and it's not fair to me to take that negativity to that next person, right? It's not
Yeah.
fair to myself to carry all of that emotion with me.
Mhm.
So when I was younger, I would go and find a box to kick, and I would tell myself, "Is that an empty box? It's empty box. I'm kicking it, right? Because I don't want to hurt my foot." And I remember because I was really frustrated with some IT issue, and now I don't do that, right? If I'm really
Mhm.
upset, I may just choose to take a walk around the block. I may choose to close my eyes and do a 2-minute meditation.
Mhm.
I may choose to pull up a funny video, or maybe my kids' video, or whatever, because I know it's going to bring me that laugh or that smile, and that
Yeah.
instantly change my energy. So it's
Yes.
it's your mental energy that you have that control over. Then, but you just have to remember that you're the boss, and you get to
Exactly.
resort to that.
No, that's really a really brilliant point, because, there's people out there that are probably saying, "Oh yeah, but I'm tired." And my thing is so you would never say, "Okay, you just won $1 million in the lottery," and say, "I'm too tired to celebrate. I'll celebrate later." There is an unlimited reserve of energy if you can tap into it. So it just sort of depends.
Right,
Yeah, it's there.
right, and a lot of times it's because you know the truth of the matter is because we choose to focus on the negative things,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we're gonna remember that negative experience and we don't remember the positive one. So
Mhm.
so a lot of time, years ago when I did understand that, actually when I wrote my first book, it's called From Refugee to Renaissance Woman.
Oh, I love
And
that.
yeah, and it took me a while because I wrote it chronologically. And
Mhm.
so, I kind of talk about how my mom passed away, and then I talk about the refugee camp, and all of these sad emotions come on, right?
Mhm.
And so later on, a couple years later, I was talking to someone, and they go, "Well, when you write a book like that, you write the nice chapters first, right? And then the difficult one, you write it last." And that made
Oh.
so much sense, right? Because if I were to write about the more fun things later on, or the earlier fun things, and not those kind of dark chapters thing,
Mhm.
I would have written that book much faster, right? Because I remember dreading, oh my God, I got to pick up where I was writing. And while I
Yeah.
was writing it, and it was a very short book, but when I was writing it, my kids were asking me, "Are you dying? Are you writing your memoir?" And I said, "It's not my memoir. It's a book. I'm just sharing my story." So I learned just from that experience that if I had, just like the other person was telling me, if I had written all the nice things first,
Mhm.
those chapters first, I would have written 90% of the book. And then I can go back to the other 10% and visit
Yeah.
visit those memories, right? So that's what we do. We linger on those memories. We go back to that. If we can just look at it and say, what was a positive thing that come out of that memory, and
Mhm.
then now when we visit that memory, we actually remember more the positive than the negative. It just help us. And it,
Yeah.
and I'm not like a therapist or anything, but what I'm good at is getting people to look at things at a different perspective, and then
Mhm.
focus their energy and their effort toward the positive one. Um, And if you want to go visit the negative part, you can, but just give it
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes, and then and then move on.
That's something else I'm thinking about too. About that is, I would think too, when you write all the negative stuff first, it would be harder to remember some of the good stuff because you're on that track of negativity
Right.
as opposed to focusing on the positive. So my question to you is, because you work with entrepreneurs in particular, what do you think the biggest struggle is for entrepreneurs?
Well, for my experience too, and with a lot of my clients, the biggest struggle is clarity. And
Uh,
by clarity, what I mean is to understand clearly the values and the goals that are most important to you. And what that means is, everybody make, what is it, a 10-year plan or a
uh-huh.
5-year plan, right? Um, Focus on what's important today. What are the 3 things that you can do today that will contribute to that 5-year plan?
Mm. I,
Because if you can do that, all of this stuff happen, things happen, and you you don't get distracted.
mm-hmm.
Yes, you can pay attention to it for a moment, but you go right back, because it's a lot easier to focus on 3 things than a checklist of 20 things, right? And the other thing also is, if you keep worrying about other stuff, you're not going to focus enough. So for example, I used to work with a dental consultant uh, years ago, and he would say, every one of you guys, you need to get a financial advisor, right? And we're all sitting there going, why? Right? And he said, because you work with a financial advisor, you do that planning, all about your retirement and stuff, and then the
Mm-hmm.
stock market go one way, or something happen and recession, whatever it is. But if you have that plan, and as long as you can identify, you know what, I'm still on track, then the
Mm-hmm.
stock market or the recession or other stuff, it doesn't matter, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
have that plan, it's a lot easier to focus. And I think with entrepreneur, well, number one is we have that what we call the shiny object syndrome, right? Oh, that looks good. I think I'm going to go try that.
Yep.
And then you go try it, and then maybe it doesn't give you the immediate result,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're thinking, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. You forgot why you wanted to try it in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
because there got to be a reason why you do. And then there are people like want to try everything, which is a different story. But
We're
but I'm
seekers.
yeah, and I'm perfectly guilty of that, like everybody else. But
Mm-hmm.
but I think when we have those goals and we're very clear, it's just easier, not to get derailed. It's
Mm-hmm.
easier to stay on course. It's easier to achieve the next thing you want. Because just like you said, it seems like I have so many things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a lot of them are for positioning. So all of a sudden, I'm talking to industry leaders,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's because I position myself. Like, I show up where I know I think I need to show up,
Mm-hmm.
and I meet the right people. Like I met you, right? And it was right. And so these are things that it didn't happen by chance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but because the goal is, I want to be in front of as many people as possible. I want to share some strategies.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share, contacts. I want to let people know that I'm available if they choose to reach out. Yesterday, a friend of mine, and he might could be your friend too. He posts on Facebook that his son is working on a movie.
Oh.
And his son is a teenager, and the kid got a whatever, a 5-figure investor, right, toward this movie. So I just put congratulations, and then he wrote on Facebook. He go, "Hey, do you have any connection in Hollywood?" And I'm thinking, well, what is this supposed to mean, right? Like, because I know people, so I just put, I know people who know people. And he put, yeah, the reason I asked you that is because I know, you have some supreme connections with people.
Mm-hmm.
And those are his words. And I think the reason people say that is because they see me showing up at certain events,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm with certain influencers, right? And it didn't happen by chance. It take the time to travel there, take the time to talk to the people, whoever it is. But I'm very much about leveraging those relationships so I could be seen and I could be heard, and I have, third party validation, put it that way. So if you want to grow your business, you got to do some of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to show up. You got to reach out to Julianne and say, I want to be in your TV show. or you just create your own platform.
Exactly.
Right? You do your own
Exactly.
meetup. I do my own seminar for that
Yes.
particular reason, because that's how you position yourself. And these are the things that I help my clients with. If they say, you know what, I gotta grow more, I want to be
Mhm.
known. Those are some of the things that I have already done. Because if you were to go and look me up, I say 5 years ago, all you're gonna find is Emily Dentist, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you Google my name, there are 10 pages that come up and it talk about me in Forbes, and I'm in this and I'm in that. And all of that is just very strategic work.
Mm.
And that's where the clarity come in,
I love that.
coupled
On
with
that,
action.
yeah, there you go. On that note, it is time for us to go to commercial break. So we'll be back in just a moment.
Okay.
For those of you who are watching us live, thank you for being here. And as I mentioned, it is time for those commercials. So we'll be right back in just a moment. Are you someone who is struggling to move forward because you suffered a loss? Maybe you're even finding it difficult to complete the most basic tasks. Are you looking for a way to start enjoying life again without feeling guilty or the resistance to do so? Spiritual life coach Sarah Stockham saw a need for people who haven't learned how to grieve without putting their entire lives on pause. And so she created a program that solves this issue called Choosing Life Right Now. This program is simple and you can do it on your own. If you are ready to learn how to feel your grief while still being able to smile, to honor the sacredness of what took place as a loss, and yet still continue to live with joy, and if you'd like to take care of your whole being with grace and love, then I'd like to invite you to experience her new program called Choosing Life Right Now. Sarah is currently offering her program for the promotional price of $77, but it won't stay at this price for long. To learn more, check out her website. The address is on the screen.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us now, my name is Julianne Meyer. I'm the host of Own Your Wellness, and today's special guest is Dr. Emily Letran. Let's bring her back on. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much.
So before we went to commercial break, we were talking a little bit about coaching and what you do. So for people to reach out to you and book an appointment, I just wanted to make sure we pop this up again. But what does it look like? What does this call look like? Just so people can have an idea.
Yes, so I call it a focus call. And what I ask people to do is when they come on the call, bring a challenge, and I'm going to interview them and help them solve that one challenge. And so far, it's been very, very successful because a lot of time, like just like we talked about earlier, it's a different perspective. Sometimes people see it as a challenge, is actually is an opportunity to grow.
Mhm.
Sometimes they think it's a challenge, like why is it so hard on me? And sometimes it may not be you. Sometimes it's the other person. So let's say somebody say, well, my staff are not listening to me, right?
Mhm.
The it may not be a challenge. It may be, okay, have you done have you given them enough training? Have you set the expectation and actually communicate with them? A lot of time, the entrepreneur or the business owner, they're very clear in what they want, and the rest of the staff have no idea what they want. So the lack of communication, right? That one is a challenge. So how do we go back and how do we make sure that we're going to be communicating? And sometimes then people share that they have actually have this going on and that going on, and I would invite them, if you want to work together and we'll see if we're a good fit, then we talk about that. But the specific thing is, I call it a focus call. Get on there, bring a challenge, and I will help you solve that challenge.
That's amazing. I like the idea. And I like the idea of it being a focus call because that's what you're doing. You're focusing on something.
You know how when people come on and maybe they're going to tell me the whole backstory, but
Uh-huh.
if there's a challenge that you have, maybe I can just solve it there without
Yeah.
actually visiting the backstory. We can always visit the backstory, but like I said at the very beginning, business is business, right? It's the three ways to grow your business. This is assuming you get on a focus call and you want to grow your business. You want to grow yourself, it will be it might be a little different, but um, three ways to grow your business: to get more customers, you get customers to come back more often,
Hmm.
and you get customers to increase their size of purchase.
Mm.
And if we
Yeah.
were to focus on that, and then whatever business growth issue that you bring probably has something to do with those parts.
Yeah.
If you can retain your staff, you probably are not retaining your patient, your clients, right? So all of those things are related, and it could be, like I said, a communication skill, a personal skill.
Hmm.
Maybe you're real rough, or maybe you're real direct, or and it just changed the language. If I The consultant I used to work with, he would say, I know all of you guys are not fuzzy, warm people, like all doctors. So just go back and tell your staff that you're not fuzzy and warm. Okay. So get that out of the way. And then you can do that through other actions. Maybe you take your staff out to lunch, right?
Hmm.
You don't have to be hugging them, or high-fiving them all the time. Taking them
Yeah.
out to lunch, letting them go home early sometime. If they work hard, give them a $50 bonus surprise at the end of the day. Those kind of things communicate the same way that you do
Hmm.
care, right? But you don't have to show up warm and fuzzy if that's not your thing. So again, that's taking a different perspective.
I like the idea of it not having to look a certain way. And that is so important in everything that we do because, if you think about it, like, okay, I lived in New York for, I don't know, 12 years. And so that warm and fuzzy part of me, it's there, but it's hidden. But I still have goals and I still have things. So it's not that I have to change how I show up necessarily, but maybe,
Uh-huh.
like you said, just show it differently and in a way that's more in alignment with how I want to be.
Right. And I'll share a quick story with you. I was in the mastermind. This is many years ago, and we were sharing kind of what we don't like, or what
Hmm.
make us uncomfortable. And I
Hmm.
said, I'm not used to hugging, right?
Yeah.
Because as Asians in general, we don't hug that
Hmm.
culturally. So I just said, I'm not used to hugging, and I go to these meetings and everybody hug. So I said, I'm trying to get used to it. So we finished the discussion. We go to a break, and he said, okay, so we're gonna take a 10 minutes break, and I want everybody to go hug Emily. It's like, you're gonna get used to it right now. you know and so sometimes it's that
Yeah.
a little challenge, right? Somebody challenge you. I challenge you to do this. You haven't been doing it. Do this.
Mhm.
And once you change it and you say, no, it's not so bad. I think I can
Yeah.
do this. And then it's just a matter of keeping it up, but understanding that maybe that hug make a difference if you go to
Exactly.
right.
Mhm.
Maybe somebody need that hug when they see you. They needed that hug,
Yeah.
and yeah. So different perspectives, and it takes you to different action.
I like that idea too of stepping outside of your comfort zone and not being so rigid about showing up exactly the same way all of the time. I think that's pretty amazing. I don't know if you know, there's this, I can't remember his name, but he has this YouTube video and it's amazing. And I don't know if he wrote a book, but anyway, the point is that he's an entrepreneur and he had a problem with the word no, hearing no, and he took it personally. And so he decided he was going to go on this no quest and ask the most ridiculous things of people, just so that he, expecting a
The
no.
no.
He was so shocked to all these things that would happen that people would actually say yes to. Like he flew a helicopter, for example. He drove a cop's car. Um, my favorite one, though, is I think he was like 6 foot and Asian, and he actually shows up at this guy's billion-dollar house, full on soccer gear, head to toe with a ball, and says, "Hey, can I play soccer in your backyard?" And the guy's yes. So I just like the idea of doing things that make you uncomfortable so that you can be comfortable with doing them.
Right. And I think he probably doesn't have kids because you will hear no from your kid, right? Let's eat dinner now. No, let's get dressed now. No.
Exactly.
Yeah. But and you also, I'm sure no sometimes doesn't mean no, right? So sometimes
Exactly.
no just mean not now. And
Exactly.
so that we have to kind of look past that. But to your point, a lot of time is because we were anticipating that. And that goes with that limiting belief
Yes.
where, a coach or a mentor can help you shift that a little bit. What if he, even though he's trying to deal with no, but if he go wherever and he say, I'm going to ask this and the answer is going to be yes, right?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so that way the no would be the surprise and the
Uh-huh.
yes is the expected answer. But when you think like that, though, your confidence change.
It does.
Yeah, you go in there and you just ask it with more confidence, and sometimes that's all that takes for the other person to say yes, right? Because you seem so confident, they trust you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I love that different perspective.
Yeah.
So, there is a conference coming up. I would love to talk about that.
Yes, so we are both part of the Achieve Systems group, and this is a group of entrepreneurs and business owners who meet on different platforms. So we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, and we
Mhm.
have live conferences, and we meet to share those strategies. And we have roundtable discussion. I know you're going to be leading one of those roundtable. It's going to be amazing. You're going to have 9 people come through, and then 9 people come through, and 9 people come through, and we get a chance to learn from each other where everybody is in their business journey, and share share their challenge, or maybe they have a question, and then we got amazing speakers, and I
Mhm.
I mentioned this earlier. It's about showing up, right? When you show up, you meet people that you meet one person and that person may change your life.
Mhm.
Everybody heard that, and I also heard you already met the person who's going to make you a millionaire. You just need to figure out
Which one?
which one, right? And but again, it has to do with us. Are we going to show up? Are we going to be open? What I love about the Achieve group is very heart centered, right?
Mhm.
And I understand that's a word that people throw around a lot too. But I've been on to conferences where everybody is very much like in a dental conference. I would ask a
Mhm.
friend, So what did you do with that? Whatever you get in more patients, what did you do? And the first question she asked me was, where do you live? And so she's in Minnesota and I'm in California. She said, okay, that's good. That's far enough. So I'm going to tell you what I did. And I'm thinking, we all want to grow. We all want to serve.
Mhm.
And what I teach people is create your own economy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Attract your own people.
Mhm.
So I don't really think about competition kind of thing. I'm doing my best. If you want to leave for the competition, I'm already giving my best. Now, if
Mhm.
I'm just half-assing it, that's a different story, right?
Exactly.
So if you can already give your best and do your best and try to serve in the very best way, and you're not a good match for somebody, the person's going to leave. So when I went to
Mhm.
Achieve, they seriously welcomed me with open arms.
Mhm.
And Robert Raymond, who is the CEO of the organization, we had a little chat at the event. Then we had several emails back and forth,
Mhm.
and he invited me in as a leadership part of the leadership team. And I think the reason for that is because he can tell that I'm a giver, right? Because
Mhm.
a lot of people tell me that, and I'm like, okay, that's just the way I am. you know, I would immediately share resources if I think that resource can help someone. I would immediately
Mhm.
make contact for other people, and that's what the group is all about. And it's great to see a group that is growing
Mhm.
with people that care about each other. And so I highly recommend everyone to go to the conference. It's in Denver. It's in June. I think it's June 9 to 11.
Yeah.
And, you can go and register there. You can put that I invite you, Dr. Emily, and you can get a complimentary ticket and
Exactly.
and come. And it's an amazing conference. And uh, Julianne's going to host a table, so you got to come.
I'll be there. It's gonna be my first one, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's fun. And something too I was thinking about with that lady asking you where you lived. It's kind of like saying, well, I'm not going to open up an Italian restaurant because there's already one in town.
Right.
That kind of lack mentality is not good for
Exactly.
business.
Yes, exactly. And that's where I think that gap is, that where the high performance coaching come in, right?
Hmm.
Because when you have that lack mentality, there's a couple of things that I can tell about you, right? There's a lack of confidence,
Hmm.
right? And the clarity, again, the clarity here meaning, if you already know you make the best spaghetti, right? From your 100-year family tradition, right? You don't care if somebody opened a spaghetti place across,
No.
right? Because you're very clear. This is my signature dish. This is
Hmm.
what's going to draw people in. And then they come in for the spaghetti, and I'm going to have 20 other things on the menu so they can buy. So you have that clarity. The lack of clarity is, what's special about you, right? Why
Mm.
should people come to you? The positioning, which is the influence. How do I
Hmm.
let people know that I have this 100-year recipe, spaghetti in my place, right? So when you have those things, then that's where you don't really not care or worry, but
Hmm.
you focus on your thing. And the 5 or 10 people who come in and have that dish, you make sure that those 5 and 10 people become your raving fans.
Yeah.
So they're gonna go out, and that's how you create your own economy, versus trying to figure out, let me put on a coupon and this and that, because those things work too, but it's not as powerful as you, with your confidence, create your own thing, and
Mhm.
asking your clients or your customers be your raving fan. I have my dental practice. In, right now, I have two, and one of them is going to be 25 years this
Oh,
September,
wow.
and then the other one in July is going to be 18 years. And I have it all the time. Patient go to another doctor, come back and say, "Oh, I just came back to see you," and I would jokingly say, "Okay, trader, uh, why are you back?" And they would say something along the line of, "Oh, because you tell it like it is,
Mhm.
right?" or I trust you and I come back. Because I went over there and something happened. And because because the value that we bring as an office is we're gonna tell it like it is, And if you like it, you don't like it, that's on your, that's your choice. But we're gonna tell you everything that we believe that you should do or you need, and you pick and choose whatever you want. But I would tell the patient, it's not about the money part, but the very first thing we do is get rid of disease, right? Pathology in your mouth. But if you say, no, just fix this chip front tooth, and I got 3 broken teeth in the back, you may not be the right person for my office, because again, my number one thing is to get rid of pathology, right? And I may lose that patient to somebody else who will only fix that one thing for that particular person. And that's okay, because when you're not a good match, when you're not clear who you want as a customer or client, when you're not a good match, the chance of them leaving is pretty much guaranteed. Right? It's just when that's gonna happen.
And then they're going to be out there bad mouthing you because it wasn't a good fit and you tried to make it work. No, I love that idea of being clear, of being very clear about, okay, this isn't a good match. And I've done that in my business too. And it's fascinating because those people refer me to other people.
Right. Because they respect you for standing for what you believe in.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. It's like I have clients, and this is just to tease you, because I have this dentist one time call me, and she's in San Diego from where I live in Pasadena. So it's about an hour drive. It's not, I'm sorry, it's like 2 hours drive. And so it's drivable. And she got on the phone and she said, Emily, I need you to come to my practice and tell me what we're doing wrong. And I said, well, you can send me some number. Your overhead and all that, and I can probably give you an idea, right? And she said, no, but I really need you to come, etc., etc. And my thing is, again, because I coach virtually, we don't need to come to each other, right? We can, but we don't have to. So I said, okay, I can come. It's going to be $5,000. and it's not, $5,000 for me to drive over there and sit there for half a day or whatever and watch whatever is wrong with your office. But for me, it was qualifying, question. And if she really think I need to be there, she'll pay the $5,000, right? I don't even want to drive there for $5,000 because that's going to be 4 hours on the freeway.
Exactly.
I mean, I can do things while I'm driving, but that's not the point, right? The point was to let her know that I don't want to be there. Let's solve your problems over the phone. Send me the numbers. I can look at it. I can most likely tell you, something. This number is too high. What are you doing here? Or this number is too low. What are you doing here? And being very objective, because if I put myself in that practice and they're high emotion women, because a lot of people in the dental field are women, high emotion, and they see another woman coming, that's going to be sometimes a challenging environment. So when we know what we're good at, and we work to our strength, a lot of time we can accomplish a whole lot without having to stretch ourselves. Like for me, just maximize your potential first. And then you can stretch. And most of the time, people are not even functioning at that maximum capacity.
No, they definitely aren't. It's kind of amazing how that works. My goodness. Well, we only have about 30 seconds, 45 seconds left. So real quick, what can people find on your website?
On my website, they can schedule that focus call.
Perfect.
It's 30 minutes complimentary call to solve that one problem, right? They can see a couple of programs on there. I got a do-it-yourself business program with a lot of business videos, and there's group coaching calls that are run by my partner, and that's like a weekly call. So you can watch a video, and then we go into detail with the weekly call. You can check out and see if you want to enroll in a group coaching program where I do bi-weekly virtual call and webinars, and you're in a Facebook group, so you can ask me questions all the time, and or you can choose to do a one-on-one. Because
Perfect.
because for me, everybody work a little bit different. What I encourage people to do and challenge people to do is do something, right?
Do
Because
something.
otherwise it's going to be the same thing and you're going to hit the same goal,
Exactly.
unless some magic happen. So take action, do something differently. Even if you just book a call with me and get on there, we solve one problem, and you tell me, okay, that's the only problem I have. Okay, great. So how do you plan to grow after this one problem? and
Exactly.
and if you can, and if you know the ways to grow, and if I can help accelerate that, that's what I'm here for.
Awesome. Well, Emily, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And hopefully
Thank
you'll be
you.
back again soon.
Oh yeah, I would love to do that. And thank you again for hosting this and giving people the opportunity to share,
My pleasure.
and to learn, because I can tell that you love doing this, right? Which is which is great. But you got to have that heart center, focus,
Mhm.
mission in order to do something like this.
Amazing.
And
Yep,
I
it's true.
really appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Emily. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
And that is all the time that we have for today. So we'll see you again. Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone.